Good morning. Welcome to the Sunday live stream. I'm not ready to go at all. Welcome. How's it going? My name is Angela. I'm a front-end developer and software engineer in St. Paul, Minnesota. Welcome to my YouTube presentation. Today is Sunday, December 7th. I'm in a much better mood than I was yesterday. If you were here yesterday for the Saturday stream, I was in the shittiest possible mood possible. I'm feeling much better today. So thank you for everybody who sat through that yesterday. Despite my terrible attitude, we did get some things done yesterday. So, and I have no excuse for not being ready to go this morning because I've been up since 6 a.m. So I don't know why I didn't get everything pulled up. Even when I'm running late, I can be bothered to pull everything up and get ready. So while I'm doing that, let me attempt to work and talk at the same time. I'm a front-end developer and a software engineer in St. Paul, Minnesota. And on this channel, we practice HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. We are all vanilla all the time. Not because there's anything wrong with a good framework or library, but purely because we like to practice. Why is this? All right, here we go. We like to practice. We like to keep our skills fresh. Nothing wrong with frameworks and libraries. It's not a conspiracy. I don't hate those things. I personally do use those things. I've never really used a CSS framework or library. CSS, I've never used Bootstrap. I've used parts of Foundation. I've never used Tailwind. I get that question a lot. Why aren't you using Tailwind? Or usually it's something like, this would be a lot easier if you used Tailwind. And I'm like, yeah, I know. That's not really the point though. Yeah, I was a Vue user, Vue.js, for 7 years at my last job. I've built a couple of Angular, full stack Angular apps. I really enjoy Angular, actually. If I was to pick any framework, I think at this point, I would do Angular because it feels most like, I don't know, I just really like it. Even though I know it's a little, maybe out of all the frameworks, it's considered slightly clunky. I don't know. That's my impression. Never used React. I get why organizations use those things. They're incredibly important for continuity. And, I think about all the stuff that I built in Vue. I would never want to do all that in vanilla JavaScript. But on this channel, I tend to be very focused on building UIs. So semantic HTML, accessible HTML, very SEO focused, which I think that more front-end developers should be thinking about search engine optimization because the structure of a website has a huge impact on search engine optimization. Accessibility and SEO are very much in alignment with one another. Those things matter. And of course, vanilla CSS. I love writing vanilla CSS. I was a Sass user, SCSS, for many years, over a decade. And this past summer, I decided that I wanted to go all vanilla because I had a very short-lived month or so where I was like, I'm going to record tutorials. And I quickly figured out that I was not getting views on tutorials at all whatsoever because the YouTube is saturated with tutorials and there are so many people doing them so much better than I am. The effort is not worth the reward. There basically is no reward. But it did get me thinking okay, I've been using Sass for such a long time. And if I'm going to record tutorials, I feel like I have to give so much more context around Sass and that this is just how it felt at the time. I don't think this is true now in hindsight, but at the time I was like, okay, if I'm going to record tutorials and use Sass, do I need to explain installing Sass and what a compiler is? Oh, give me one moment. One moment. I have allergies. I need to blow my nose. Okay, so picking up where I left off before I was so rudely interrupted by my runny nose. Um, so anyways, thinking about how like I I need to like give more context around using SAS as a compiler or installing SAS or and Node or any of those things. Do I need to like give more context around that in order to make tutorials using SAS? And then it just seemed obvious, like, oh yeah, honestly, you should probably just be using vanilla CSS because, and what I figured out after the fact, after I started really diving in to projects using only vanilla CSS, is that my specificity in my understanding of inheritance and cascading, all of those things were just simply not as good as I thought they were. My specificity, especially because I think SAS, not wrongly, encourages a lot of nesting, and that can just get out of control in SAS. And then what happens is that you have overly specific declarations in your CSS that can actually make it pretty difficult to be clean and efficient. And I don't think that that is the fault of SAS. I think that that is the fault of someone. I'll just obviously going to use myself as an example. That is the fault of somebody who learned SAS very, very early in my career. I learned SAS really as soon as I learned CSS, like within months, literally within months, I was using SAS. And I just developed a lot of really bad habits over the years. And then I had a job where everything was SAS and I wasn't practicing outside of work. So that switch this summer, going from SAS to vanilla CSS, has done more for me as a developer in the last 4 or 5 months, 6 months, 5 months than in my entire career. That maybe that's too dramatic because the entirety of my career is 12 years and I've obviously learned a lot and I know how to do a lot. But coming into it, and I only know this in hindsight, being a little stagnant. Even this summer, I was kind of stagnant in my own journey as a developer and what I was like, how I was learning and growing. That little change, pun intended, changed everything for me as a developer, that change. So if you are a Tailwind user, a Bootstrap user, a Foundation user, or if you're like me and you've been using SAS or less for a long time and you feel like you're not growing, or you need some growth, or you need a deeper level of understanding when it comes to CSS, try making the switch to vanilla CSS and see what happens, because it completely changed how I do things. Now, I also have the benefit of, and this is again through streaming and YouTube, I start and finish a lot of projects. I mean, more than I ever have in my entire career. I am starting from scratch so many new projects and quickly finishing them, like within a couple of weeks, literally within a month, finishing projects. And through that process, I've been able to just iterate a system for writing vanilla CSS so quickly. So those two things made a huge, huge difference in my journey as a developer when I was in a place where I was like, I think I'm too old and I think I'm getting tired and I don't think I want to do this anymore. Like, not be a developer, but just like not be like a, what do they call it? A contributor, where I felt like in my career, the only way for me to really move up was to go start moving towards management. I was already a manager, but like the only way for me to move on and move up or move on in my career was to just get deeper into like middle management, right? I hate being a man. I did not enjoy being a manager. I couldn't stand it. I like the part where you mentor and you nurture and you teach, but I hate the part where I have to listen to people's bullshit problems or excuses for why they're not getting work done, or excuses for why they missed a meeting, or excuses for why they planned a vacation and forgot to put it on the calendar and effed up my entire deployment schedule. That's the stuff I cannot stand. I am so, I'm not an empathetic person. I try to be. Ooh, I try to be. I'm not. I have a low threshold for bullshit. Don't like that part of management and leadership. I really struggle with it. I like the part, though, where if people have their shit together and are working hard and are teachable and they want to listen and they want to take advice, I love that part. So that's amazing. I like this part on YouTube even better because it's kind of a parasocial relationship, right? Like, we don't really know each other. I've gotten to know some of you, but we don't really know each other. And when the camera gets turned off and I hit end stream, like, that's it. So it's easier to be empathetic because there's no real connection. Gosh, I feel like I sound like such an asshole saying that, and I don't exactly mean that. I'm just saying that it is so much easier because you are a little bit removed from me. So yes, you can send me emails, you can ask me questions, I can answer questions. I love that part of this. I love that part of this. But as a manager, I am not responsible for you. I don't have to put you on a pip when you F up my schedule every week for 6 months, right? That's the stuff I hate dealing with. So, whew. So there's that. All right, well, let's see who's here today. If anybody hasn't immediately dropped off after all of that. Abdel is here. Hello, welcome. Ooh, I love the, how do I feel about the screen name? Skeletor-ish. It's scary. It's scary, but I like it. Welcome, thank you. Go Elmo is here. Go Elmo, formerly Go Elmo Go, formerly Malik Robinson. Welcome. Hello all. A little late, but I bought the template and set up the project, so all good to go. Yes, Malik is going to recreate. If you weren't here yesterday, I'm so excited that he's going to do this. I have to tell you, Malik, if you had been my junior developer, I think it would have been a dream come true. You are such a hard worker. I don't expect everybody to take my advice, but if you ask me a question and I answer the question, I would like you to do me the respect of actually listening to my answer. And Malik, you are nothing if not attentive, respectful, eager, earnest in the best possible way. You are absolutely determined, willing to do the work, open to new ideas, open to, like, I think the deployment is the best part, where you said that it hadn't even occurred to you that you should be learning about deployment until I brought it up and then started, literally demoing deployment, and now you're like all in on it. I mean, I just think you would have been a fantastic, just an absolutely fantastic junior developer to have on my team. So please hang in there. Hang in there. The right job is going to come along, and when it does, they are going to be so excited to have you on their team. You are a good egg. You are a very good egg. So Malik is going to rebuild this template that we did the first part of 2025. It's called the Ocean, and the template is available still on ThemeForest. I think it's like $5. We looked at it yesterday. So Malik bought this, and I know it's a Photoshop file, but if you're using Affinity, well, what do they call it now? The new Affinity app, which is free. Affinity reads Photoshop files, so you can go out and buy PSDs and use them in Affinity, and it's free. So I'm assuming that that's what you're going to do, Malik. And he's going to rebuild this in React because he is learning React. This is his second project in React, and he did send me a link to his first project, and I'm so sorry I haven't looked at it yet, but I'm absolutely going to. But he is going to rebuild this template using React. And I'm so excited. I can't wait to see it. So, and Monique Robinson is here today. Welcome, Monique. She's triggering Nightbot. She's getting Nightbot all warmed up. And yes, we practice with vanilla CSS, vanilla JavaScript, no libraries or frameworks. We use HTML, CSS, vanilla JavaScript for personal projects and when streaming. No one is here. No one is also our newest mod. I'm so excited to have No One in the chat helping us out. He's been here for several weeks, if not several months at this point. Incredibly thoughtful commenter in the chat, did a book report on a book that I recommended, which was honestly I just thought was so cool. It's the Steve Krug Don't Make Me Think, which is about usability. Rahul is here. The mods are all here today. This is amazing. Rahul from Tibet is here. Welcome, Rahul. I'm so happy to have you. Rehan is here. Hello. And Rahul says, even though we don't know each other closely, we are family. I agree. I hope that people take what I said in the spirit in which it's intended. I think we hear parasocial and that has like a negative connotation, even though maybe it describes it a tiny little bit. Well, maybe not, because we are aware of each other, and parasocial makes it sound like one person is not aware of the other person. All I'm saying is, I like this better than being a manager in an organization because of all the human BS that you have to deal with as a manager. It's why I am not suitable for management or leadership positions. It's because I have such a difficult time dealing with the human part of being a manager. I just have such a low threshold for BS, but it's different this way, right? I can still be a leader this way on YouTube as like an authority in front-end development. And then people in the chat, presumably you're here because you also care about front-end development. You wouldn't ask the question if you didn't actually care about the answer. And so my point is, that's why I like it. That's why I like this relationship with you all. And I do feel like we're a family. It's pretty cool to, especially being that I am such a small channel, to have this many regular people who show up to hang out with me. Not Tibet, Nepal. I'm so sorry. Nepal. Sorry about that. Yes. They are not the same thing. I get it. I did know that. I apologize. Not Nepal. Unrelated, I've been watching a lot of documentaries about Mount Everest lately. I don't know why I feel like I have to tell you that. It's just that I have been, and I find them fascinating. It's something about the determination. I don't like sports. I'm not into sports, but I like the psychology of sports and team sports. And there's something about the psychology of people who make that decision to climb Mount Everest and how dangerous it is. I just find it fascinating. So, and Malik says, yeah, it works perfectly in Affinity, luckily. Link to the template. And we can open this up here as well. So this is the Ocean template. $5. Malik is going to go. It's really old. Yeah, created 10 years ago. So I told you guys, I've had these mock-ups for a really long time. A lot of these images don't seem to work anymore. So yeah, I'm excited to see what Malik does with this. He's going to crush it. Let's face it. He's going to crush it. So not worried about him at all. So, I mean, I'm a little concerned about him getting a job because I want him to get a job, and I think it's kind of brutal right now. But once he gets a job, then I'm officially not worried about him anymore. So, okay. So yesterday, despite my terrible attitude, we did get some work done on this template. We got a lot of the responsiveness finished, and things are looking good. Oh, I do think we need a little padding here. So we'll add a little padding here. But let's just peruse this. Our grid is looking pretty good. I'm good with our footer. This feels like it maybe has a little too much space, but I don't know if I care. I don't know if I care. I think this looks good. I actually really do like how this turned out. We have a little 3x2 grid for Instagram. This all looks terrific, I think. This looks great. Our navigation looks great. So the last thing we really need to figure out here today is this. Because this form, the search form, is position absolute, I wanted to, first of all, it's ugly AF. Why did I think that this was a good design? So we're going to spend a little time on the form. We're going to spend a little time on the form getting this right. And then the last thing we're going to do today is we're going to do a video and we're going to do a slider, and we're going to use GitHub Copilot for both of these. No, I have not yet paid for GitHub Copilot. Just because I haven't needed to yet. I don't use it very often. I tend to only use GitHub Copilot while I'm streaming these types of things, and I haven't run out of like queries yet. So I sort of said to myself, like, I'm happy to pay for it when I come to a point where I need to pay for it. And that hasn't happened yet. So I'm just not paying for it yet. Still using the free version. So we'll see how it goes today. And Rahul says, I used to practice using screenshots from ThemeForest as many authors' templates contain all screens. Me too. So when I did pay for and download a lot of mockups. So here's the thing about freelancing, because I needed to be able to present deliverables to my clients, right? So the reason that I would pay for and download the templates is because then I would modify those templates, right? Because a lot of them are low fidelity. They've got gray boxes. I would swap out the branding. I would put in real images, and I needed to be able to do all of that in Photoshop because I had to present those deliverables to the client before I could actually start the build. But if I hadn't needed to do that particular step, I too would have just done the screenshots. In fact, I did. Sometimes I would be like, ooh, do I actually need to buy this template, or can I just take a screenshot and start buying or building? Because I think you see me here do this. It's not good grammar. You see me do this here quite often, which is we just put our screenshot. I'll open it up now. We just go ahead and put our screenshot right into preview. I don't even need editing software. I can just do everything right off of the screenshot. So that's a great suggestion. And glad you brought that up, Rahul, because I do have people tell me, like with some regularity, oh, I can't find mockups like you find, or I can't afford to spend money on mockups. Like, because some of these mockups are expensive. They're like 20, 25 bucks. Not everybody has cash to burn like that. Just grab a screenshot and do it. Just grab a screenshot. You can take a screenshot and put it in Photoshop or Affinity and draw the guides and do all of that stuff. You don't need all the layers just to look at a screenshot and build it. So that is a very good point. All right. So I did have one other idea. And we're going to, on the next project, because there always seems to be a search. There always seems to be a search in the header. We're going to look for a different approach to the search, because I do want to sort of solve the problem of search. I think we're a little bit beyond that for this. I've gone too far to like completely redo my approach to search. So for today, I just want to find a solution that is good enough so we can finish this and move on. I was looking at the Michael Kors website. So let's look at, so here we've got search, which is basically an overlay. So this is like a, a hidden overlay that pops up here, right? Some sort of drawer. But let's look at the mobile. Oh, there we go. So I was kind of thinking that maybe when it opens, it's just a drawer down here that opens. What do we think of that? It just is like a little overlay. That I think would be actually a good idea. So how hard would that be? So right now, it's position absolute. Let's see here. And Rehan has a quick question. Can we make a project by cloning a website and make some modifications in it and add it to our Git? Is it illegal to do that? This is such an excellent question. So I literally just did this on my last project. Let me show you. I'm glad you asked that because the last project I did, I actually asked the same exact question to ChatGPT, but let me show you first. The project is literally called Homepage Clone. So I'm going to put this in the chat so you can see it. But also, well, actually, we deployed this. It's fiberandcraft.com. So I even deployed it to my own domain name. And this is a clone of a website called nitpicks.com. It's not a back end, it's just the front end. I used it as a landing page. And it is absolutely okay to do that under these circumstances. Do not use their branding. Don't use their logos. Don't use their images. As long as you are not using their branding, their images, their proprietary information, it is absolutely okay to follow the layout and use similar, if not the same fonts, anything that you can access. So if let's say, now I tend to use all Google fonts, but let's say I did a deep dive on what these fonts were and I had the ability to also go out and purchase the same fonts, no problem. You can go get your license for the exact same fonts. You can absolutely do that. Colors, pill-shaped buttons, layouts, those things are not proprietary. Anything that you have access to in the inspect tool, not proprietary at all whatsoever. So if you want to follow a layout or clone the website of another website, you can absolutely do that. And there's nothing wrong with that. Do not use their branding. Do not use their proprietary images. Don't use their content. So if you want to clone this site for yourself, go ahead and do it. There's nothing wrong with that. So yes, Nitpicks is a real website. Nitpicks is a real website. It's a fiber yarn. It's like an online yarn store. So I buy a lot of yarn here. Monique, back me up. We both buy it. Monique and I are both knitters and crocheters, and we both buy a lot of yarn on this website. And they redid their website. Was it at the end of 2024 or the beginning of this year? It was, I think, roughly within the last year. So yes, this is a real website. Fiber and Craft is my side project. So me, Angela, I am Fiber and Craft. I have a YouTube channel called Fiber and Craft. I don't have any here, but I also dye my own yarn, not very seriously. But I own the domain name Fiber and Craft, and I have an Etsy shop called Fiber and Craft, and a YouTube channel called Fiber and Craft, and so this is my own little like hobby side project. So in terms of being real, Fiber and Craft is not an e-commerce shop. I have no interest in running an e-commerce site. If I did, I would just open an Etsy store, which I have. So yes, I think that's what you meant. I think so. And Malik says, do you think the name of the site needs to be present when the search is open? Yeah, let's go back to talking about this. Do you think the name of the site needs to be present when the search is open? You could just hide the logo and have the search bar in the header. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Here's the problem though with the search bar. If we do this, I want the search to be the full width of the header, but since the search form is position absolute, I'm having trouble with the width, a dynamic width. I could just set pixel values or percentage values. I don't want to mess with that. And yeah, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. Now, he has the search always open on mobile. What I think I would like to do is just move it down here. So it's just going to be, can you see here my cursor? We're just going to move it right down here when we open it. So, and Malik says, I also did the same thing with my Pinterest style site, and it is a good practice. I recommend it. Well, let's look. I don't remember that particular detail. Pastetree.com. Where's the search? It's here. Let's see. Oops. I think, what did I do? Oh, that's the explore page. Home. Pastry. Home. Oh, there we go. Oh, he says he was responding to Rehan's question. Sorry. I was confused. Lovely hobby. Thank you. I love to knit. I was knitting this morning, which is why I wasn't prepared. So if you follow me on Instagram, I've been making, I'm going to show this. I've been knitting tiny little socks as Christmas tree ornaments. There we go. That yellow's kind of blowing out. So, and these have been so fun to knit. I love to knit socks. I'm a sock knitter. So I've been knitting these tiny little socks. So this is like a little bumblebee sock. Black and white stripes. So little, these are called afterthought heels. Don't usually knit afterthought heels, and I've knit like, this is like my 5th afterthought heel in a week. And kind of liking it. Yeah, so I'm gonna do some more afterthought heels. Nobody here cares about that. So thank you, Go Elmo Go. I think we're up to 14 subscribers now. Yeah. So I think that when we trigger this, we're just gonna have it pop down here. Does it still, I'm wondering though, does it still need to be display? Well, let's get into it. Let's get into it, see how it goes. Let's add a little padding here first. CSS. Let's collapse some of these. Here's the navigation. Here's the search. Here's the form. And then here's our open button for the navigation. Here's the navigation. Here's open search. Here's the form. Yeah, and the other problem that I'm encountering is that so the form is position absolute, which is relative to the wrap. And that was causing a lot of problems yesterday because the wrap is not very big. That's the wrap. So anytime you're saying like with the 100%, it's 100% of the parent. But I didn't think of this yesterday. It doesn't have to be, position relative doesn't need to be on the wrap. We can put position relative on any of these. We could put it on the header and have it be relative to the header. So none of these, nav container is not position relative. Header is position sticky, which would act like position relative, right? So it's absolutely positioned relative to whatever container has another position on it. So I'm thinking, can we just take position relative off? That might solve our problem. Yeah, you can see there it's already adjusting. It's already adjusting, that's good. That's good. So now if we say, this actually might solve the problem. That solved the problem. So we moved this over a rem, so this would actually need to be, see, sometimes you just need to step away for a day. So it would actually be 2 rems. Look at that. That solved the problem. That solved the problem. So instead of having it be relative to the wrap, which if you put with 100%, it's only as wide as its parent container, now we just have it be relative to the header, which is already position sticky. Now when we say with 100%, it's 100% of the container that it's relative to, which in this case is header. Wrap does not need to be position relative for anything else. Nav container isn't position relative for anything else. And then the next parent container up, which is like this is the parent, grandparent, great grandparent, is header, which is already position sticky. So this is another reason why I really want new front-end developers and experienced front-end developers to understand some core basics. One of them being positioning and understanding how to absolutely position, do fixed positioning. Well, that's always positioned against the window, right? The HTML element, for lack of a better term, or sticky. Understand positioning and how to absolutely position in particular relative to a parent, grandparent, great-grandparent container. Understand positioning. It's going to really serve you well. So this solves our problem now. This absolutely solves our problem now. So let's get this relative wrap off of here. Now we can actually style that container and we can stick with exactly what we did yesterday, and that's going to work. It's totally going to work now. So let's find that wrap. Nav container wrap. Where are you here? Right here. So we do not need this. So let's make sure then for our form that we put a note in here so people understand. We don't need this. So does that make sense? Does that make sense to people? Why we just did that or what was happening? Hopefully it does. So we'll say absolutely positioned to the, I'll just say header, which is position sticky. I hope this makes sense. And we'll want to do, so now we just need to style it. So for now, I'm just going to say calc 100% minus 2 rems. Whoops. Nice. Okay, so we need to, do we need a button to close this? We also need to move this down a little bit. So right now, this is the transform translate. Honestly, there is a better way to do this. Why did I do? We're not going to do, we don't need to do the transform anymore. We're just going to do bottom 100%, which should put it right at the bottom. Okay. I think we need some z-index. Oh, no, bottom 0. My mistake. There we go. And maybe we could just push it up a little bit. So we could do bottom, maybe just 0.5 rems. There we go. Yeah, that's perfect. So let's do this. Here's our calc. And then let's just restyle this button. So we'll pull that in 5. Now where does that button go? Which button is that? This is the close search button. I remember styling this button. This is where we let's take the border radius off. Let's take the border off. let's take this padding off. Why were we transitioning maybe that doesn't matter. Background color, transparent. I don't care about that. The stroke, let's just make it black. Then let's do translate on the Y, negative 50%. Oh, that's why I did that. Background color, we're not going to do a background color. Or maybe, I guess we have to, don't we? There has to be some sort of... We'll do the same exact thing that we did for all of them. Just like that. And then let's move that over a little bit. So right now, left, let's just move this over like a smudge more. Yeah, that works. And then this border, this pink red, we're gonna change that. We're gonna get rid of that. And we're gonna adjust some of the line height because that line, there's too much space, right? Wow, I'm glad we figured this out. Yes, I am. Okay. So this is just going to be black. We don't need to use all the colors. And then this is also going to be black. There we go. And then, okay, so the input has way too much padding. Look at all this crazy padding here. Well, we know that it needs to have 1.1 right over here, top, right, bottom, left, right? Correct? So top, so this is 1.1 on the top, 1.1 on the bottom, 3 rems on the right, and that's so the text doesn't bump into the submit button. And then this on the other side. So really it's the top and bottom. It's the top and bottom that we want to rein in. And then I think instead of, I think it should just have some line height, not padding. Line height, maybe like 2. Yeah, see how much better that is already? That is a dramatic improvement. I don't know how I feel about this right here, but it meets the tap target requirements, so I don't know if I should worry about that. Okay, so we'll change this line height to 2. What do we think? Yeah, that's it. That we did it. Let's give the header a tiny bit. Well, really it's so I think this needs a little more padding. I think this needs a little bit of padding on the top and bottom. There. That's it. Look at that. That looks really nice. I love it. Is this going to be a problem? So I kind of think that if the navigation is open, that the search, we're already hiding the open button. I think we should hide the search also. And then yeah, that's 48 by 48, so that's okay. This is, I would like the button though. Yeah, let's make, you see this little X is a little bit smaller. Let's make this X just be a tiny bit smaller as well. And then let's make sure that when the menu is open, that you can't access the open menu or the search button. So you really don't get access to the search button unless the menu isn't open. Whoops. So let's do that. And we can, because this does feel just a teensy bit too big to me. And we can adjust that. So let's get back down to search. I'm glad that I found a good solution for this because I did not like how it looked. I did not. Yeah. So this would be 2, 2, and then there would be some padding here. There would be 0.5. Yeah, that looks a little more. So then I think we can adjust this a little bit. Yeah, I think 3 is okay. Go back to 3. Now this is still 48 by 48. So we still have a tap target there that isn't bumping into anything else. It's right up against the edge. And then let's make sure that when search active is open, search active search form, search active open search, search active open button. Oh, this is interesting. Oh, it's when the menu, hang on, it's when menu active open search. So we'll just add this here. Menu active open search is also visibility hidden. There. We did it. Let's get this pushed up because we definitely need to test this. We definitely need to test this. I'm not going to test it now. I just want to get it pushed, and then let's work on our slider. And then the last thing we're going to do is the video. And I don't have the video prepped yet, so I'm going to show you how I quickly edit together a video in DaVinci Resolve, which I think is a very, very good skill for front-end developers. I think especially if you're freelancing or working with clients, you will definitely find yourself in a position where having some very basic video editing skills will come in handy. So if you haven't done that before, I would encourage you to just use DaVinci Resolve. Let's see here, just DaVinci Resolve. It's free. They have a pro version. I'm telling you, I use the free version for everything, for shorts, for reels, for all of my videos. It works really, really well. The free version is fantastic. I would highly recommend learning some basic video editing skills. It will come in handy. Okay, so let's get this pushed. Oh, we're having a good day today. Search form for mobile. All right, we'll let that percolate. And all right, onto the slider. This, look how much better this looks. Look how much better this looks. Yeah, I love it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm very happy with this. Oh, and look at the decimal points. Yesterday it was like 0.4. Everything was 0.4. Now we have these decimal points as if it wasn't hard enough to land on a pixel value. Now we have these decimal points. Why would they do that to us? Okay. All right. right, GitHub Copilot. I'm counting on you. JavaScript. And then do I do all files? No, not all files. Just JavaScript, and then GitHub Copilot. And then I'm going to add, I want to attach index.html. Okay. Describe what to build next. Let's see here. So here's the hero. Here is our slider. Okay, so in the slider wrap class is markup for a slider. There are previous and next buttons too. Please write some JavaScript to power the slider. Okay, why as soon as I did that did my index.html disappear? I'll add a small plan, then implement a slider initializer that wires the previous next buttons and keyboard controls and call it on DOM content loaded. I'll mark tasks in the to-do list and then patch script.js. What's going on here? So it created a function init sliders. All right, well, sure. Did it change anything here? I don't think so. Whoops. All right, well, the moment of truth. Let's see what happens. Wow. GitHub Copilot is improving. Look at that. If you're a working developer right now, I don't know how this doesn't make your life. Well, I do know how, because even with the shittiest versions of GitHub, or excuse me, ChatGPT, my life was dramatically improved. It's just getting better by leaps and bounds. You guys have seen me use ChatGPT and GitHub Copilot to do many, many things. How is that not the smoothest of all the things that we have done so far? Or did I just somehow get better at asking questions? Okay, so let's do some accessibility testing and see if there's anything else that we need to figure out here. So far, so good. Okay, so we tabbed to the correct place. Let's tab back up. Yeah, it's working just fine. Look at that. That is outstanding. Outstanding. All right, let's see how things work here. How is that not the easiest that we've ever seen GitHub Copilot do that for us? So perfect. So we are skipping past the search form and the navigation drawer. That is exactly what we want. We do not want to show the navigation or the search form until we have activated the button to show those things. That's exactly the way we want that to work. Beautiful. And I'm going to hit the escape key to close that drawer. Perfect. Now we're opening. Look at that. So I'm wondering if we should also make sure. Oh, it does. We did that already. Nice, Angela. Good one. I think we need to. Let's double check the styles of this button. Although we still have the tap target, so I'm not worried about it, but let's just double check the styles of those buttons. But this is all working in the correct order. Nice. Beautiful. Embrace AI. Embrace AI. There's nothing wrong with using technology, using tools to make your life easier. So I'm going to give myself a little bit of credit here that maybe I'm good at writing markup, right? I knew how to wire this slider up because we've built a couple of these now. So I knew the right way to do this, but I also knew how to ask for what I needed. So embrace AI, embrace tools like ChatGPT, embrace GitHub Copilot, learn how to ask the right questions, make mistakes, struggle, because it's only going to help you learn how to be more efficient. And you're only going to have to do it a handful of times before you know exactly the markup that you need, and you know exactly the right way to ask the question, and you know the exactly the right way to structure your files. And it's just going to get easier and easier and easier the more you do it, because this hands down was the easiest that we've ever seen this work. Literally out of the box worked. Okay, so let's open up DaVinci Resolve and let's go ahead and edit our video, because the last thing that we need to do is we need to get our video player going. This will take a minute. Okay. So I had decided that I wanted to use, let me find it here. Where did I put it? Did I put media? Yes. So I have these two files, which are NASA video files of black holes. Wouldn't it be amazing if these were real black holes? I would love to see what a real black hole looks like. But for now, we need to rely on the NASA simulation. So, all right, so here's our media pool. Here's our timeline. So we're just going to put these in here back to back. Let's move this over. This isn't really going to be a tutorial on DaVinci Resolve. I just want to show people that oh, it won't let me cross dissolve because I need to trim. There we go. So now, oops. And then let's put a crossfade on the end so we can loop. Put it right there. And then let's see how this looks if it's looping. Let's see here. Oh, it won't let me. Let's see here. I guess that's okay. All right, so there's our video. How long is that? It is 38 seconds long. Should we speed this up a little bit? So now we're at 30 seconds. It's a little, it's like 25% faster. Yeah, that works. Works for me. Okay, so here's our video. So let's go ahead and we can render this. We'll say NASA black hole. We'll save this in our media folder. Second, where what is the, see, I name every ink right here. I name everything different, so I'll save that there. I'm going to save this as an MP4. We do not have audio, just video, and render. This will probably take like 3 seconds. There we go. And now here is our video. There we go. All right. I didn't really check to see. Should we just ask GitHub Copilot to do the markup for us? I usually do the markup myself. Let's see how it goes. Okay. So here was our slider. This was the audio player. We should remove that markup. So I'm gonna, let's see here. Let's just remove this markup now, because I want to take that media class out. And we'll take out this SVG. And we'll take out this media class. Now we can tell GitHub Copilot that we have a class called media. Yeah, let's just go for it and see what happens. What are these to-dos? Okay. And then let's add script.js. Please add a media/video player to the article with a class media, and use the SVG already included as a play button. Then add the JavaScript to play, pause, and stop the video. The video is called, the video location is media slash NASA, no, media, yeah, media slash NASA dash black dash hole dot MP4. All right, so here's our SVG and our video player. Oh, it's taking out my version of the SVG. It probably just moved it. Okay, that's fine. And then here's our JavaScript media player. All right, well, let's see. So we need to do some styling. We need to do some styling. That's fine. We can do some styling. So this is playing and pausing. So let's go ahead and style, and then we can do some refining here. Okay, why can't I? What's going on here? There we go. So our video right now is display none. So we just want to make sure that the video, kind of like the image, has these same styles. So I think we just want to add card video and do these exact same styles. So let's see if that works. I don't know if that's going to work. We're going to find out. All right, I'll come back to you later. Let's see here. So can I video class, video player, yeah, pretty close. But that means then that we need to make sure that this is display none. So this would be display none. And then this would be doesn't exactly, it's not exactly working, is it? We need to get this positioned a little bit better. Okay, so if this is and this is all happening in the JavaScript, which is fine. So if I had to think about this. I know there's a way to do this without adding more inline styles. Or should we be using like poster instead of image? Or should these just be position absolute and they can just stack on top of each other, right? What's the best approach? Okay, let's just do, I think the best approach is just exactly, to treat it kind of like a slider, right? So these would be position, absolute, top, 0, left, 0. Just like that. Just got to think about it for a second, right? So now we lost our border, and that's because we made these figures position relative, which I think we can just increase the border. Where's our, I think these are up at the top here. We can just increase, I think we can just increase the Z index on our border. Yeah. There we go. So we have our border back now. Okay, so now we need to make sure that we are swapping out our buttons. Yeah. So let's find our, so what's actually happening here for these buttons? So here's the play button, here's the stop button. Well, and technically the play button is, technically we would want to swap out, because we would play and then technically we would, this should change from play to pause because you pause it. So we can use the attributes up here to style those, right? Because when it's playing, it says aria label pause video. So if aria label pause video, then we would want to show the pause SVG. So let's start with that. And then we'll worry about the stop button, which the stop button exists. We just don't have an SVG in there yet, right? So I hope that people see that just because you're using AI to help you with some JavaScript or some markup, that doesn't mean that AI is doing all the work for you. Like, we still need to sit here and sort out some of these details, right? We still need to press buttons and be like, oh, actually, when this is playing, I need to like have it swap out so it's a pause button. So hopefully you can see that. I mean, listen, if you're a developer, I know that there's still work the developer has to do. But if you're new to development, or you are one of those people where you're like, well, AI is taking over, so what's the point of this? I hope you can see that there is still a human being here that needs to think about these things, right? Yes? Yeah. Let's see here, pause. Okay. And then I think we just need stop. Icons is slow today. And so we'll go. I think you were complimenting the solution for the search. Yeah, I mean, I think the drop down would have been okay, would have been fine, but I personally am really, really glad that we found the solution that we found. So, it was obviously ideal. Am I missing something here? Why is this taking so long? All right. So let's get the extra buttons in here. And then we're really just going to use CSS because I think we've got attributes that can help us hide and show the appropriate buttons. And that is the approach that I like to take with these things. If I've got class names, attributes, things like that, that's generally all I need to hide and show the right things. You may have a different approach. This is mine. So, so we want, here's our pause. We'll go ahead and put both of these in here. Say aria hidden true. So here's a button with 2 SVGs, no problem. So we're going to use the aria label. So when the aria label equals play video, we will style the SVG. And then here's our stop button. So let's get that in here. And we'll say aria hidden true. Okay, so here is our media styles. So, media, I don't want to get too overly specific here. So we've got, so let's also put classes here. So we've got, I'm going to take out Ionicon because we don't actually need those. Oh, and then also let's take out current color. We don't need that. So for this is the first button. So this is the, we'll just say SVG underscore play. And then this is SVG underscore pause. So those are our classes. So we're going to say, we don't even need the media class. We're just going to say, can't we just do aria label equals play video, aria label play video. This would be then SVG play display. Oh, whoops, we cannot. Hang on, Angela, you cannot. nest. So this would just be SVG play. And it would be display block, right? Or aria label equals pause video. I think I'm getting this right. We can adjust the order if we need to. SVG pause display block. So I think we're actually going to want to do a couple of things here. I have to think about this. So if it's, yeah, we can combine these. So if it's play video, that's SVG play, or if it's pause video, SVG pause. So if these two conditions are met, and then if it's play video, we want the SVG pause. It's the opposite. And then if it's pause video, we want the SVG play. These would be display none, right? I think so. Okay, we have the wrong, clearly we have the wrong class in there. That's fine. Okay, hang on. What did I do? So that actually is working. This play and stop is working, but why isn't the pause working? Hang on. What did I do? How did I originally style this button? All I did was style it by its SVG. So I think that there isn't really there must not be. So if, hang on here. So this does work. I got this right. But then, yeah, how do you actually stop? So there's a, so I think we need to reposition the stop button, right? Because we can't have play, pause, and stop all layered together. So we have to reposition the stop button. And then we can do play and pause. Or do we even need a stop? Can we just play or pause? Because I bet when this is done, it'll just stop on its own, right? Let's just let it play and see what happens here. Yeah, it just stops on its own. What else so what do we need to do? Do we need to do anything different, or can we just play and pause? Do we need to stop if it just stops on its own? What say you? Tell me what you're thinking. I know some of you, there's people here. I know there are. I vote for play and pause, and not. I don't think we need to worry about anything else. Or we can just do play and stop. Yeah, I think stop is unnecessary if it stops on its own. But do we like the ability, do we like giving the user the ability to stop, just completely stop it if they want to? Where would we put the stop button? I don't know. Okay, I'm going to put the stop button back in, but we're going to reposition it. We're just going to put it up in the corner. Might as well. Why would they need to stop fully? I think pause is enough. It's a good question. That's a good question. Okay, so let's do this. Let's include it and let's put in a comment. I'm going to comment it out, but I'm going to leave it in the markup, and I'm going to put a comment in the markup saying, because everything that I make here, well, so that's okay. So this is a good point. Stop and pause are pretty much the same thing. They're actually not, because pausing pauses the video. So when you go back to playing, you resume from where you left off. And so pausing, you resume where you stopped. Stopping means the video starts from scratch. It starts over again. So they're really not the same thing. So that is an important distinction, and I'm going to put that in here. So this is a stop button. Stopping means the video starts from the beginning. And then let's just put a comment in here. These are play and pause buttons. The video will resume from where it last stopped. That is the distinction. So we'll leave these in here, and if somebody decides to fork this template because it is open source, they can decide for themselves how they want this to function based on the type of video that exists. So I'm going to leave everything in here, and we will let the user decide. So let's get this pushed up, and then let's check on mobile, and then let's just look briefly at our QA. So we styled the search for mobile. This is done. We refined all mobile styles. We did that yesterday. We implemented our slider. We implemented our video. We did the mobile styles for the social nav. That was yesterday. And we did the mobile styles for Instagram. We were more productive yesterday than I think I gave myself credit for. So those action items are done. Let's go ahead and push this up to GitHub, and then we will take a look on mobile and see how things look. Let's see here. Oops. JS4 slider and video. I could not be more pleased with how flawless GitHub Copilot worked today. Could not be more happy with that. Absolutely flawless. Boy, I've really spent a lot of time being kind of stressed out about using AI in my videos. It just feels like cheating sometimes. And no, I'm completely over that. I need AI to do for me in these live streams what it did for me when I was working. And I do consider this work. I like showing up on Saturdays and Sundays and talking through this process and building these projects. To me, I take it seriously. It's work. I needed to help me here the same way it helped me at the job that I had, or if I'm doing client work. I see it exactly the same. Let's see here. I need to update this README. I will do that this week. I think so we are going with the play and pause version, but I'm leaving the markup for the stop button in the thing. Okay, give me a second here. Where is my... I've got my phone. And we will take a look. All right. So far, I think it looks great. Get rid of this. A lot of the shades of gray don't appear, so you guys can't, it's coming on fine on the phone. It's not doing a good job, but so the shades of gray, the box shadows, the subtle things like that, they do appear on the phone, but they just don't come through well on the streaming software. Wonderful. So happy with this slider. It's really cute. I like it. Yeah, I guess that is typical behavior, isn't it, for iOS? What do we think? I don't think there's anything we can do to change this behavior, right? That's a good experience, I think. That's a very good experience. I love it. Oh, you know what's happening there is that border, the Z index put the stacking order above this navigation drawer. So we just need to bump up the Z index of the nav drawer. So we'll do that. We'll do that here in a second. I love it. We came up with a great solution for the search. Yeah, you can see that. We'll bump up the Z index of this also. Very happy with the solution for the search. I'm so relieved that that came together because it was not good. I love it. This one turned out great. I think this one just turned out really great. Oh, and it's really the stacking order of just that one. Or is it? It is. It's just the stacking order of the border on the hero. All right, well, let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, you can see it there. But it's not happening with the other borders, so that's fine. No problemo. Let's see here. Yeah, so this does have its own z-index. Oh, no, it doesn't. Hang on. No, it doesn't. So this needs to be 1. So, but there's a separate set of styles here, so I think we can just do a separate z-index just for this one. So I think that could just be 0 just for this one. And that will take care of that. Yeah. All right, so what is this? Line 652. Yeah, I think the lesson for today is really get comfortable with positioning and z-index. I see a lot of z-index 9,999, and that's, I understand why people do that, but it's really better to develop an understanding of stacking order, how you're positioning things, which container needs to be position relative, or really like today where we didn't even need to have a container with position relative because the great grandparent, the header, was already position sticky, which means that any child is absolutely positioned excuse me, relative to the next positioning, right? So I think that I think that developing a good understanding of positioning and z-index and understanding stacking order is going to save you a lot of hassle. It's really going to save you a lot of hassle and a lot of the battle. I call it the battle of the z-indexes. So I'm going to push this really quick just to get the repo caught up. And if that's the only thing that we need to fix in QA is one z-index on one image, that's success. Let's see here. Fixing z-index on hero. And I'm not going to worry about checking my phone again. So, because I'm pleased with what we just did. So, we did it. We did it. So this means then next weekend is deployment day. For those who celebrate, not everybody cares about deployment, but for those of us who do, it's deployment day next Saturday. I need to do a little bit of prep this week to get ready for that, so I'm not upset or disappointed that this ended up taking up the whole weekend, because we did a lot of really good QA stuff here. We really tightened up our responsiveness. I am absolutely thrilled with how the search turned out. Github Copilot came through and did a beautiful job wiring up our media and our slider. Could not be more thrilled with how those turned out. This gives me this week then to really prep for deployment next week. And what we're going to do is we are going to add this site as a subdomain. So it's going to be, oops, what happened to our, there it is. What happened there? Oh, did I have this open and then, yeah, okay. I'm not too worried about that. But I will make note of that. What was I saying? Okay, so deployment next week is going to be a subdomain added to an existing droplet. So the videos that I've done so far are setting up a brand new droplet, and you do not need to set up a new droplet, a new server, a new lamp stack every time you're deploying a new website. You can add something called a virtual host. You also don't need to go out and purchase a brand new domain name for every project. So I'm going to use an existing domain name, and it's going to be italia.domainname.com. And I haven't decided for sure yet, which I've got several domain names. So it's going to be italia.domainname.com, and it's going to be added to an existing droplet as a subdomain. It's called a virtual host. So I will walk you through that process. The droplet will already be created. It exist. It will already have a pseudo user, all of those things. So I'm just going to show you how to add an additional virtual host. We'll do the DNS settings. I'm also going to use FileZilla because I didn't realize this when I did the first tutorial or the first walkthrough on deployment. I didn't know that rsync is only available on Mac, but I think Malik tested out downloading some software. I don't remember what it's called, so he can use rsync on a Windows machine. I'm not in a position where I can show that type of deployment, like what you need to do as a Windows user to get rsync working, because I am on a Mac. So I'm going to use FileZilla, which FileZilla was what I always used in the early days of development, and I feel like FileZilla is now this thing where you're like not one of the cool kids if you're using FileZilla. But now that I'm using it again for a static website with no back end, FileZilla is easy. You can set it up to use SSH so it's still secure. It's so easy to connect to a server and deploy with FileZilla. There are some things that you need to take into consideration, so I'll explain what I think those things are. I think it would also be good for me to type out like a good deployment checklist. I think that's the next thing that we really need to do here. Now that we're including more deployment content, I think having a good deployment checklist is going to be a really good idea. We're going to want to come up with the checklist just to make sure that we're not forgetting anything and that you're taking into consideration that you're still pushing to a Git repository so you always have backups, because when you're using FTP, it is inevitable that you will overwrite a file you didn't mean to, because it's drag and drop. There's just some additional considerations to think about when you're using FTP. As good a solution as it is, you want to make sure that you're still doing a lot of backup and version control. So with that being said, we had a great weekend. We really did. I'm very pleased with how this site turned out. We're going to do more search styling, especially now that I kind of solved this, right? I had some fresh eyes today and I came up with the better solution. So, and Malik says, oh, I think you're referring to the play pause button, that, yeah, leave the option in their hands to use it or not. Because if somebody forks this repository and decides to use this landing page, I have no idea what video you're going to put in here, right? I don't know if it's going to be a 30-second video like what I put in here, or if you have something more that you would put in here, or what your needs are. Or you may want to have both, and you may want to style that stop button and have play pause. The functionality exists either way. So, and then Malik also says, on my Z Fold 5, I only notice the border peeking through the menu. That's it. Slider works in video plays also. It is an iOS thing that forces it to open in full screen. Plays in container for me. Yeah, I think I knew that was an iOS thing. But despite that being an iOS thing, it's still a good experience. It's still a good experience. So, I'm not mad about what I'm seeing there. I'm still happy with it. So, yeah, so I guess that's that. We had a good crowd today. I'm so glad. We had good engagement in the chat. I appreciate everybody who comes to hang out with me and chat with me. If you are new here, would you do me a favor? Or if you haven't yet, would you like the video? It helps the algorithm and helps us get this pushed out to people who might be interested. If you haven't subscribed yet, I would be so grateful if you would subscribe. I'm here every Saturday and Sunday. We just do vanilla HTML, CSS, JavaScript. We are very accessibility focused. We are very SEO focused here, and it's really just about practicing and improving our skills. I am of the belief that junior developers in particular are not being taught enough vanilla skills, especially vanilla CSS. I don't think that frameworks are a substitute for a solid understanding of vanilla CSS, and I would like more developers to understand it. I also understand that there are many, many, many developers who despise CSS and have no interest in learning CSS. And you know what? That's fine too. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not here to force you to do anything. We're just here to hang out and enjoy front-end development. That's all. So thank you, Monique, for triggering Nightbot. Please subscribe to the channel. Share it with people who are interested in front-end development. I would appreciate that so much. All right, next weekend, Saturday, deployment day. I like deployment day. I personally had a lot of fun the last time we did that. I thought it was a lot of fun. Yeah. And then on Sunday next weekend, we're going to start our new project, which is rebuilding my very first open source project that I made before I even had my first job as a developer. It's a video gallery that I made. We're going to redesign that after 12 long years. Excuse me. So with that being said, everybody, Have a great rest of your week wherever you are. Thank you for hanging out with me, and I will see you in my next one. Bye-bye.